It was the middle of a brutal campaign in the Germanic forests, and Marcus Aurelius, emperor, general, philosopher, sat in a makeshift tent under pouring rain, writing quietly in his journal by candlelight. Disease was sweeping through the camp, half his army was starving, betrayal brewed among his ranks, and back in Rome, political vultures circled his throne. But instead of succumbing to anger or despair, he picked up his stylus and wrote the very words that would echo through centuries. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In that moment, surrounded by the chaos of war and the fragility of life, Marcus chose self-mastery, not fury, not complaint, not escape, but control. What if I told you that the reason your life is out of control is because you are out of control? Not the economy, not your childhood, not your genetics, not your boss, not the world, but you. Your impulses, your reactions, your undisciplined thoughts, your knee-jerk emotions. You live as if you're a bystander in your own mind, a guest in your own body, watching yourself sabotage your future and calling it fate. But Epictetus was clear. No man is free who is not master of himself. That strength is self-control, the rarest and most potent form of power any human being can possess. You chase influence, achievement, and admiration, yet you can't even command yourself to stop scrolling, to say no to that indulgence, to hold your tongue when silence would serve you better. You want to master life but haven't yet mastered your own breath when anger rises. You crave freedom, yet you are a slave to every craving. Epictetus said the true mark of a philosopher is not words, but how one behaves in the face of desire, fear, and pain. So ask yourself, when your temper flares, when temptation calls, when fatigue whispers the excuse, who is truly in control in that moment? Is it you, the rational being, the logikon zoon that the Stoics honored? Or is it the old self, ruled by passions and appetites, pulling you by the collar like a dog chasing scents in the wind? Discipline is not deprivation, it is liberation from chaos. A man who masters himself is no longer at the mercy of luck, no longer dependent on the whims of others to feel peace. Seneca called it the inner citadel, a fortress built not with stone but with will. Every small act of self-restraint is a brick in that wall. Every time you override the need for instant pleasure, you become less of a pawn and more of a sovereign. Self-control begins in the trivial, unnoticed places, in how you speak to the person who annoys you, in whether you break your promise to yourself yet again, in whether you rise when the alarm rings or reach for 5 more minutes of comfort. These choices shape character more than any grand gesture ever will. You think your destiny will be determined by some massive decision one day in the future, but you're wrong. It's being forged now, silently, by how you conduct yourself when no one's watching. That's where greatness is built or broken. The Stoics didn't fear pain, they feared becoming soft. They feared becoming victims of their own passions. So they practiced cold exposure, hunger, humility. Why? Because they knew that if they could endure voluntarily what others dread involuntarily, they would become unshakable. You let a bad day make you bitter. They let suffering make them disciplined. You panic when plans fall apart. They expected it because they trained the one thing no one can ever take from you, your response. You want to change your life? Then stop negotiating with weakness. Stop indulging the voice that says, just this once. Stop being shocked by the demands of life as if comfort was ever guaranteed. Your highest self is not a fantasy to chase. It is the version of you that emerges when the lower self is told, firmly and without apology, to sit down and be quiet. If you can't say no to yourself, how will you say no to anything that threatens your values, your time, your integrity? To live without self-control is to live in exile from your own potential. You're not supposed to feel like doing it. That's the whole point. That's where the transformation lies, in doing the hard thing while the easy self screams, in choosing principle over impulse, in becoming the kind of person who can be trusted not just by others, but by yourself. Because if you can't trust yourself, nothing else matters. Self-control is not glamorous. It is not viral. It is not loud. But it is the root of every meaningful success, every enduring relationship, every day of peace. Without it, your talent will rot, your dreams will wither, and your regrets will multiply like weeds. With it, you become a force of nature, calm amid chaos, focused amid noise, enduring amid pain. This is the quiet revolution the Stoics preached, not to conquer the world, but to conquer the self. And once you do, you'll realize that the external victories were just a reflection of an internal war you finally chose to win. So the next time you feel the pull, to lash out, to give in, to check out, remember, that's the moment, that's the battlefield. That's where your fate is decided, not by luck or by gods, but by whether you are the master of yourself or still merely a guest in your own soul.